In today's episode of the Pathmark Presents podcast, I have a very interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Hannah Marsh, and she's heading over from the folks over at HomeViews. She's a co-founder and chief partnership officer. And at HomeViews, they're basically tackling the very interesting, site development space. And basically, if you're, in that area, if you're working in that space, it will be quite interesting to check out what HomeViews is all about. So we want to really deep dive into HomeViews and see how Hannah's thinking about growth for the company. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Hannah, for people who haven't heard about HomeViews quite yet, maybe give us a quick overview. What is it all about in your own words?
So HomeViews is the dedicated review platform for residential development. So, if you're looking for a review on your holiday, or you're looking to book a hotel, you're looking to go to a restaurant, you'd go to TripAdvisor, sort of the go-to. If you're looking for a brand or service, you often go to Trustpilot. But when it comes to your home, whether you're looking to buy or looking to rent, HomeViews is dedicated to residential reviews. So we invite owners and tenants living in new build developments to review the landlord, to review the building, what it's like to live there, to review the developer, and on the build quality, on their purchase, and provide that information in a very sort of detailed reviews back to prospective residents, or whether they be buying or owning or renting.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we talked about a little bit prior to the conversation that there's a B2B and a B2C angle to the business. Maybe share with people a little bit sort of what's the structure so they can understand HomeViews in its fullest.
Absolutely. So we launched just over 3 years ago, and we're based across the UK now, so cover sort of all parts of the United Kingdom. And our traffic now has sort of reached about 2 million unique visitors a year onto HomeViews. So we have a lot of B2C audience. At this point, we don't monetize that traffic directly. So people can come onto the site, it's completely open. They can read the reviews and access the site. We do a huge amount of blog content. So we have very high SEO discoverability for people looking for best places to live in particular locations, best places to look, pet-friendly developments, or the best management companies. We're highly discoverable from a Google SEO perspective, and that's how people are coming on and using our site. And we have a high dwell time. People are on there finding us useful when they're looking for their new home. In terms of the B2B, and that's really where we focus in terms of monetizing it, our B2B proposition, we collect a huge amount of data, and this data has never been available before in the UK. I think in a lot of established markets, particularly for established multifamily rent markets like the US, there's a huge amount of data and insights on residents' experiences available back to the property industry, and that just hasn't been the case in the UK. So we ask residents to answer quite a lot of questions. We collect over 18 different data points, and then we invite B2B, so brands and of operators, house builders, developers, housing associations, to sign up to HomeViews, so they have the content rights to use that content in their own marketing, but they can also access our back-end dashboard and data, so they can see how they're performing, what their residents are saying, get insights from them, look at benchmarks, sort of track their performance in what they're delivering. And that's sort of where we've been to date with B2B, and we've got lots of sort of growth plans and opportunities in the B2B, and we haven't even touched the B2C at this point of our journey.
Catch you. I mean, one thing that marketers for sure will ask themselves who are listening in, you mentioned you guys have launched about like 3 years ago. You mentioned a couple of millions of website visitors a month. Like, how did you achieve that? Like, what was the secret? What was one thing, at least, maybe not the secret, what was one thing that you could share with marketers that are coming to market and then being able to drive such traffic?
We've had a great team and we've invested in SEO. So we actually don't do much PPC. We do a tiny amount of PPC. It's actually over 80% of our traffic is organic SEO, because we have really unique and rich content. So people are searching for a brand, they're looking for reviews on Berkeley Homes or Grey Stars and these big brands. They're looking for those reviews, and HomeViews will naturally come up as a top search result because we have that content. But we also have content at a building level, so we break out our data and have different pages right down to the actual specific building they're looking to move into. So the search terms are there, we can see that traffic. It's much higher than any other review platform for property specifically, because we're serving it up in that way.
Mhm.
But also over 50% of our content is based on blog articles. We do about 75 blogs a month on our site. So we're constantly refreshing content on top places, rankings, looking at keyword searches. So it's one of those things that you kind of look at it and you go, right, we're going to have to start investing in this early, but you start investing in it and you see that payoff. And we've seen that with actually some of the recent changes on Google's algorithms in the last few months. They're starting to reward those companies that create unique content, which is what we do. So we've just seen our traffic increasing month on month because we take that time and put that effort into sort of correctly creating content that people want to read.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Now maybe tell us a little bit about the B2B journey. How do the developers or the builders, how do they get in touch and work with HomeViews?
Well, we started off with sort of, a little bit through people we knew and sort of word of mouth. And that's, you kind of find your early pioneers. And through that, you can create case studies. And there's also been, different sort of offline opportunities for us to at conferences or through other organizations where we've been able to sort of use, I guess, we always use the word dance on other people's dance floors. So we've been able to go to other organizations and showcase what we're doing. But now, because we've reached a point where we've built a reputation, particularly in certain sectors of the property industry, that we get a huge interest in our data and our insights because nobody else has this insight. So we're regularly invited to speak at conferences and to attend other webinars and panels. But the lead generation that we do as well is bringing out our own reports and creating our own webinars. And through that, people sign up to hear about our data. We release sort of exclusive data for free to engage people on sort of the value that we can provide back to their organizations, and that gives us the opportunity to sort of start a conversation.
Gotcha. And how do you think about then sort of, if we talk about the website a bit, the role of the website for B2B, because the B2C role is very clear, right? They're learning about each locations and developers and the likes. How do you think about the website when it comes to the B2B angle?
I think the website is something where I think, in all honesty, we're 3 years into our journey and we've been sort of testing and trialing different ways. And I think a lot of our kind of traffic actually comes through LinkedIn. It's been really important as a platform, and whether people are discovering our B2B pages on our website directly is something we can actually see that traffic's often coming more referred rather than sort of organically. So it's often through other channels that people are discovering our B2B pages on our website. And I think that's where we've got a lot of work still to do, is how we engage people when they first come to our website from a B2B perspective, because our site has been so focused on a B2C to date to sort of gain traffic. So yes, people do come onto our site. They do find a lot of information on our site from a B2B point of view, but I don't think we've really got our journey figured out quite yet on the website.
I see. Very interesting. It's a very interesting scenario with having such a large scale B2C scenario and then a B2B angle on the other side. But I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about sort of your journey within the organization. What I'm curious about, the first thing is, there's so much. So as a co-founder, there's so much things you can study and learn every day, try to become better and smarter and everything. Where do you personally find high quality information? Is there any go-to resources that you would, regularly consult and visit?
Well, I think, we started off as a team of 3, and you grow, and with that you grow specialists. And I think that being a co-founder, the important thing firstly is to remember that as you grow, you don't have all the answers, and you hire experts into your teams and you listen to them, and you kind of utilize their experience, because you're not always right. So stop, pause, listen. And you hired good people for a reason. So I think my first port of call from kind of insights is always the team, because you kind of need to trust in the people that you hire to offer advice and insights. We've also engaged with specific consultants on projects and brought that expertise in. I love reading articles and looking online, but I think sometimes when you're flat out busy as a co-founder, you don't quite do as much reading. and digesting of information as you'd like to. So yes, I like to, read books or read digests on what's going on. But if I'm honest, I think for me, it's been actually having that advice from experts or consultants who've done it themselves and have learned the lessons and can give you the advice on the next steps. And I think that's always worth the time and the cost.
To wrap it up for today, I got some rapid fire questions. Are you ready for those?
Oh yeah, I'm ready for it.
What's the last book that you read?
I have to hold my hands up and say that I quite like in my personal time to read real trash. So I think I just like escapism. So I tend to read a lot of fictional fantasy novels, or I read sort of historical fiction. So the last book I read was actually one by Philippa Gregory, she does a lot of kind of the other Berlin sister and a lot of kind of historical fiction. So I like to escape in my personal time.
What's one single thing your company is focused on the most at the moment?
We're focused on the most at how we make our data more ubiquitous to the rest of the industry. So to date, our customers, from a B2B point of view, has been very much focused on a small sector of the wider property industry. And now we're focused on how we can make our data more available to the wider industry and how they can get value from it.
And for the very last question, I'd like to ask you, if today would be your very first day starting on HomeViews, what's the one advice you would give yourself?
Start SEO early. That's probably it.
Very cool. And I really appreciate it. I mean, I was just thinking, having the large amount of scale, you probably did already a very good job on SEO, but probably even earlier, it's even better. So yeah. I really appreciate you joining in for the call. I want to give you the very last word. If people would be forgetting all that we discussed about HomeViews, what's the one thing that people should remember? That
there's, in the world of fake reviews and fake news, we verify every single review that comes onto site. So everyone is a resident and it's verified and trusted content.
Thanks a lot for being a guest on Pathman Presents.
Thank you.